Our story continues with Spider-Man investigating the Demon's HQ at a construction site. He's looking through and then makes his way towards, I guess you could say, the small office area. And lo and behold, when he goes in there, he actually sees Sabrewulf. And the two of them kind of just look at each other for a minute before Sabrewulf simply just turns his back and actually just goes back to work, asking how he's doing. And this is how the conversation would go. What are you doing here? Simple, doing my job. What do you want? To which he says, doing my job as well. You shouldn't be here. To which Sabrewulf simply sighs and goes like, look, I understand your whole no-kill rule thing, but look, right now you have to deal with a lot more on your plate than my demons, alright? Wait, your demons? Yes, my demons. I've been investigating them for quite a while now. And I would like it if you backed off for a good minute. To which Spider-Man says, you're in my city. And he's like, what do you mean your city? You know how many superheroes live here that could literally say it's their city? What makes you so special? To which Spider-Man kind of goes, oh, um, yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. Anywho, look, I'm not going to be in your little city for long, but right now, I do need to finish this task. So, if you want to help, be my guest. Go ahead and look at the other files and stuff that'll, give us an edge over the demons. And maybe, just maybe, you'll actually find out who the real problem is. To which he says, what do you mean? Oh, you don't know. The leader of the demons is Martin Lee. And Pete goes quiet for a minute. And he simply states, no, that's impossible. How, he would never do such a thing. He's done so much good for the city. And this is where Sabrewulf laughs and simply states, yeah, out in the open. However, undercover, I call him Mr. Negative. Kind of rolls off the tongue now, does it? To which Spider-Man's like, there's no way he would actually do some of these crimes. And so this is where Sabrewulf pretty much holds a file out in his hand and simply puts it on the table, telling Spider-Man to read it. And he states, this is everything that Martin Lee himself has done, including his whole origin, which revolves around Norman Osborn. The only reason why I haven't gutted him is because I actually see him as a victim of a much larger problem. And this is where Spider-Man simply states, so you think Norman Osborn is also a criminal? And Saber was like, oh my god, dude. What, are you new to this hero stuff? You don't do any investigations? You don't do any forensic or detective work? You don't dive deeper into stuff other than just putting the bad guys away? However, this is where they hear demons approaching, and he states, we'll finish this later. And this is where Sabrewulf and Spider-Man both jump the demons. Well, I guess you could say jump is kind of a term, if you will. They don't know how to work together fully. So basically, they're doing their attacks and just avoiding each other. And it manages to work in all honesty, but just like in the original, Spider-Man actually gets hit with some electric prods or an electric restraint, and then Sabrewulf actually dodges his and cuts it in half, to which Silver Sable pulls out her guns and points at him. And this is where he simply states, you get one chance. Unless those things are aligned with Silver, they ain't gonna work. And even then, it ain't gonna work either with Silver. And this is where Yori finally right says, hey, hold on, everybody, take a breather here. We're all on the same side. And so Sabrewulf obviously would manage to, I guess you could say, calm down, if you will. And this is where Yuri actually has to explain to Silver Sabelina and to Spider-Man and Sabrewulf here who, each other are. And well, obviously this is the new mayor's security detail. And this is where Sabrewulf tries to hide a snarky comment, and then she kind of looks at him like, don't you say it. And then he's like, yeah, okay, my bad. And so she tells him they need to go. This is pretty much under their jurisdiction, unfortunately, and they're handling the demon situation. To which Sable simply nods and, well, heads off, as well as Spider-Man. Now, fast forward a couple hours later, this is where, Spider-Man does meet up with Yuri, and he kind of picked up the hints that they know each other. Obviously, we know that they're dating, but again, it's, not really aware to Spider-Man, or at least not until now. To which Sabrewulf does appear, and this is where he simply tells Spider-Man what he needs to know, or everything else that he needs to know. Yes, Norman is a criminal, and hiring a foreign army, a private army, if you will, doesn't that kind of scream problematic? Doesn't that kind of scream, well, maybe he's the problem? You don't really see it, do you? And to which, he then shows the full files, even a video footage of Martin Lee becoming, well, Mr. Negative at a young age. And this is where Sable simply states, so, as I was trying to say to you before, are you really going to be the hero that people want, or be the hero that people needs? Martin Lee is a victim, yes, but he's also committed countless crimes. He deserves to be locked up, maybe given another chance. Maybe Feast can help him see reasoning. But he tells Spider-Man one simple thing right now. Whether they like it or not, this runs deeper than anything you have thought before. And the evidence is right in front of you. So, what are you going to do with it? To which Spider-Man is silent throughout this. But this is where Yuri simply tells them that they need to work together on this. She's risking a lot. You definitely should know. And this is where Sable kind of rolls his eyes like, yeah, I get it. I'm sorry. But look, it's just, she's like, I know. But right now, you two have no choice right now but to work together. Otherwise, Sable is going to take over the city. To which they both nod and simply go on about their day. But this is where we fast forward to the convoy, where both Spider-Man and Sabrewulf are there. And luckily, this is where actually having a whole werewolf on your side actually benefits. Spider-Man and Sabrewulf are able to take out the demons pretty quickly, albeit they do have to be careful as Dr. Langley is still carrying the Devil's Breath. But this is where Spider-Man actually does take the back of the convoy, and he does lose his grip. But this is where Sabrewulf simply states he'll handle it. To which Spider-Man says, you're not going to throw it over your shoulder, are you? To which he says, no. Okay, fine, I guess I'll change my plan here. I guess I'm doing this the old-fashioned way. To which Spider-Man's like, you've done this before? He's like, oh yeah, you think this is the first convoy they robbed? I've been around the world trying to stop these guys. Shoot, hold on, let me get this real quick. And so this is where Sabrewulf actually gets, in front of the truck and then simply lifts it. Like, he, casually pulling, a couple, probably 100 tons, maybe 50 tons or so over his head, depending on how much an armored truck of this kind of caliber weighs. And Spider-Man's like, oh my god, this dude is strong. Like even Spider-Man has to admit, nah, even I'm not doing that kind of casually. And so this is where Sabrewulf kind of just tears out the tires, or the front tires, and just allows the truck to come to a dead stop in front of him. However, when they do kind of, open the truck, this is where Martin Lee pretty much blasts them both with his whole mental powers thing. And Sabrewulf feels all of it. All the pain he's caused upon other criminals, all the people he's killed, but he manages to fight it off. And Spider-Man goes through his same thing with Mr. Negative. However, this is where they realize Mr. Negative is gone. Keep in mind, the Miles incident doesn't happen yet at this point. It just still doesn't happen just yet. But don't worry, I am going to introduce Miles and everything. And this is where the Saber Guards actually come in, and, well, Spider-Man gets restrained yet again. Keep in mind, I would definitely say Silver Sable is now more on edge, because now she has to deal with Spider-Man and an entire werewolf, calling them nothing but rogues and criminals. And so she does point a gun at Spider-Man and does think about, taking him into custody, taking him to Norman Osborn. And Sabrewulf does try to intervene, but he's tased in the back by an unnecessary amount of pain. And so he's surrounded by the Sable guards or the Sable soldiers or whatever you want to call them, and they're using their prods, and they're more set to an electrical charge, and they begin jabbing these into Sabrewulf's back, bringing him to the ground. However, this is where Sabrewulf simply chuckles as he realizes the properties of them are electrical. And so, as he pretty much feigns being in pain now, he draws that in and simply states, "You call this a shock? You call this an electrical power?" Oh man, funny. But now it's my turn. And this is where he simply electrocutes and unleashes the full might of you, if you will, of his electrical powers. And keep in mind, this is something Sabrewulf can actually do. Yeah, it's actually a part of his moveset where he's actually able to use an electrical blast to pretty much cook his opponent. And so after hitting him with basically a Ghidorah type blast here, he pretty much grabs Spider-Man and simply tells Sable she's lucky today. And so goes off to a distant, and I mean a very distant rooftop, very far away from anyone or anything. And he sets Spider-Man down and he's like, well, I do wonder. And this is where he unmasks Spider-Man and he looks in disbelief and feels regret. And he's like, oh my God, what have I done? And in a couple minutes later, Pete wakes up, mask off, and he feels that his mask is off. He's like, oh my God, what the heck, who unmasked me, who knows? And he sees Sabrewulf kind of just looking over the side with, Spider-Man's mask in his hand. And he simply states, so it was you the entire time, huh? Peter Parker. Oh my gosh, I feel like an ass. And this is where Spider-Man's like, or Peter's like, wait, what do you mean? And so Sabrewulf turns into his human form and he's like, hey, Pete. Oh man. And to which Spider-Man is in absolute disbelief. He's in shock right now. And this is how the conversation between them would honestly go. Dude, you mauled me. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was you. He's like, dude, I had to go to MJ to get stitches. I haven't been like that since Kingpin. To which he's like, okay, first of all, Kingpin didn't do you that bad, if I remember correctly. To which Spider-Man's like, dude, that's not the point. He's like, okay, yeah, okay, my bad. I guess that would make me look bad. But look, I am sorry. All right, I feel bad for what I did. I didn't know it was you. I thought you were just being, some other goody two-shoe hero that was just slowing down my progress. To which he's like, wait, so who else have you, fought over the years? He was like, okay, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, baddie, by the way, and, White Tiger, believe it or not. Yeah, I actually fought her, and that one was, pretty painful. The Avengers at one point as well, even though I wasn't really trying to fight them. I was actually trying to get away because I'm not trying to deal with that overgreen monster over there, but or that Asgardian, because that hammer hurt like hell. But yeah, I fought plenty of heroes most of the time, and even trained with one of the best named Shang-Chi. I probably put you in contact with him since you can learn how to fight. To a Spider-Man's like, I know how to fight, and Kara looks at him like, dude, you swing around your fist and just hope it goes, connects to the criminal. You're lucky your reflexes are just great. Twitch is like, okay. But look, we can't keep doing this. Working against each other. We're old friends. Academy, college buddies. Come on. High school and everything. Twitch is like, I know. Oh my gosh. Look. I see that I did you dirty, Pete. I mean, you probably had to go. You had to go back to your ex in order to get help. Whew, couldn't be me. To which he's like, dude, okay, my bad. But look, can we at least set our problems aside? Work as friends, partners on this one, actual partners. To which Pete goes, you know, even then, I still forgive you. And this is where they shake on it. And he's like, look, can you at least relax on killing? I don't mind if you maul criminals, but dear God, I mean, you're leaving the crime scene a bloody mess, man. To which he's like, all right, look, I promise. No more killing unless it's absolutely necessary, all right? So Spider-Man's like, all right, cool, thanks. And then so they both go their separate ways as friends. However, Sabrewulf makes his way to an apartment and turns back into his human form. And this is where he greets his aunt, Rio Morales. And that's what we're going to leave it off here, folks. Please comment down below, like and subscribe, and share with your friends. And I'll see you guys for the next part.